Hello, you two. I'm the Persuadosaur. So, I have a bit of a confession to make. I really love this movie. It's one of the ones I grew up with on VHS, and I really struggled to not let that overshadow me presenting this to you. Now, with that out of the way, Mothra was a product of the monster boom that happened inside and outside of Toho Studios after the success of Godzilla. She first starred in her own movie, doing considerable damage to Tokyo in her own right. Now, as we saw, Mothra is not the first monster to be integrated into the Godzilla movies, but she is the most memorable. She appears in 9 of the Godzilla movies, 4 of which has her name in the title. We got a lot to cover, so let's get started. This is 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla. Not to be confused with 1992's Godzilla vs. Mothra. That's a different movie. It all begins with a typhoon. In the cleanup, we meet 2 reporters who stumble upon a weird bit of floating debris. A ways down the coast, fishermen tow in a giant egg, which they soon sell to a greedy businessman. This does not sit well with their reporters, as well as a scientist who is working with the egg. 2 tiny girls, I've always called them fairies, so I'm going to continue to do that, appear to the businessmen, beseeching them to return the egg. They are rewarded with an attempt to capture them. After they evade capture, they try their pleas with the scientist and reporters, who actually listen. They explain that the egg is, in fact, Mothra's. Oh, and by the way, she's right over there. The heroes, as they are now, attempt to persuade the businessmen to return the egg, but to no avail. The fairies, disheartened, return to their native infant island on the back of Mothra. Back in the day-to-day, the scientist finds that the weird thing that the reporters found is radioactive. They travel back to the area that was flooded to test for more radiation. Then Godzilla pops out of the ground, right in front of them. In short order, Godzilla is back to smashing buildings and causing a great deal of havoc, as Godzilla is wont to do. A plan is hatched by our heroes, to travel to Infant Island to ask Mothra for help. They know that it is a long shot, as they weren't able to return the egg, but they try anyway. They are proven correct, as the initial reaction is a resounding no. Further begging is met with more no. In the middle of this, Mothra decides to weigh in with the fairies acting as translator. It turns out that Mothra is dying, and fighting Godzilla is a noblest cause as any. Back in Japan, the military has been doing all they can against the unstoppable force. As Godzilla gallivants through the countryside, ever nearing the egg, we see him take out the 2 businessmen who were busy fighting over money. The paragon of morals, that Godzilla. The king of monsters comes across the enormous incubator that is housing the egg and elects to smash it. You win some, you lose some. But Mothra swoops in to save her egg. The fighting is fast and fierce, and a bit comical, with the favor being on Mothra's side. Godzilla manages to get in a fiery kiss, signaling the end of Mothra's part in the fight, as well as her life. She chooses to shelter her egg, and Godzilla ignores the dying insect. The military is now locked in combat again with the atomic monster, and comes up with some decent plans to take him down. Their first attempt amounts to a Tesla coils, built on top of electric towers, which do surprising little to slow Godzilla. They really should have used Plan B, as it turns out to be the most effective. They use Teslas again, but also drop 3 metal nets on Godzilla, making it significantly more effective. Sadly, the general blows out the Transformers trying to pump out more juice. Good strategy, perfect execution, poor follow-through. During all of this, the fairies have been singing to the monster egg. It hatches, revealing twins! And boy are they ugly! In the middle of the rampage, it comes to light that there is a class of children stranded on an island with their teacher. A rescue is mounted after Godzilla starts walking toward that island. The twin larvae are after Godzilla, though. Once on the island, the twins stalk Godzilla and ambush him. His poor tail. They manage to surround him and use their web spray. I honestly have no other way to describe it. To tangle him up. Defeated, Godzilla falls into the water, and the two small Mothras swim back to their island with the fairies in tow. This movie was so interesting. Hitting something flimsy looking like a moth against Godzilla must have been such a challenge. But they tackled it so well, by having Mothra being nimble and strategic. The plot is terribly interesting, and, for once, the human characters were engaging. It also did more to cast Godzilla as a creature out of his element type, having him doing damage just by stumbling around. This was also the first time the iconic Godzilla music was played. It is one of those songs that you know exactly what is coming when it starts up. Also, the twin fairies were actually pop star twins, and the song they sing for Mothra got into the pop music charts in Japan. There was an accident that happened while filming that they left in the movie where the suit actually caught fire, and it looks so cool. I really can't say more good things about this movie. It's usually within the top 3 of most everybody's top 10 Godzilla movie lists. I strongly urge anyone who wants to watch Godzilla movies to make this one a priority. It is over 50 years old by now, and still a joy to watch. I hope you enjoyed this What Makes Godzilla Movies Awesome! And we'll see you next time in 1965, when trouble comes in triplicates.